Okay, this video is for docs who want 4 ways to go from stuck to making some moves, to beating that feeling like, I don't know what to do, that uncertainty. Okay, we're looking for a word called agency, which is a capacity builder. So, experts like Angela Duckworth and Atul Gawande talk about the importance of agency, of capacity. Let's go for it, right? So we're going to talk about the 4 drivers of agency because at times we actually stop improving. Atul Gawande talked about this as a surgeon. He realized, he was at the top of his game. He was doing amazing cases. He was offering, I'm not a surgeon, so I can't really speak to surgery. I'm a neuroimmunologist, but he was saying, he came to the point where he knew he was at a level where he couldn't go any higher unless he got a coach. And that was a huge ego threatener, right? So that was painful, he said. It was actually painful to get critiqued, to bring somebody in. He said the first person he brought in, who, he had critique him and just observe him as a surgeon, he thought he'd be like, oh, you did great. So he was like, this. He had about, 10 things he noticed as far as where the lights were and how, he handled this case at this moment and who was in the room. Again, I'm not a surgeon, so I can't speak to that. But getting a coach helped him have a new level of observation and then critique. He said it helped him kind of break things down so he could build it back up. So put in the comments if you've ever gotten a coach, yes or no. I've gotten a coach multiple times. I am a coach for women docs who are considering building a business or helping them build a business or just feeling stuck and want to figure out their value-based next steps. And so I have a membership called Fresh Path MD. So come join. I even have a free level so you can just soak a little bit in at a time, see if this is for you. I love to build a community because we're all stronger together. Okay, so let's go back to agency, the 4 drivers of agency. Angela Duckworth lies this out really clearly for us. If you don't have time to read her books, you can just watch her multiple TED Talks. She talks a lot about grit, sticking with something, that we can build our skills, but we also need to build our efforts on how we stick with something, how we evaluate what we stick with. We obviously cannot do everything. So we have to find out what we're good at, what skills need to be built to get there and stick with it, right? She talks a lot about the phrase, watch me try. All right. And we learn through modeling, we learn from each other. But let's start at number 1, the drivers of agency, feeling like you can do something, like you have the capacity to do something. Maybe you see somebody, you say, I wish I could do more of that. I wish I could be more like that doc. I want to know how they got there. But I was just at one point in my career, just kind of knocking on doors and sending emails like, how do you do it? They say, how do you do what? How do you do it? How do you live as a doc? How do you keep yourself healthy? How do you find things to do? How do you keep growing? How do you raise a family? I have 4 kids. How do you do it? That's what I wanted to know from my various contacts at various levels. And finally, I just went and I looked at the business literature and the psychology literature, and neuropsychology, economics, and healthcare, put it together. And I have a 9-step framework that I teach my coachees so that we can walk through it together a step at a time, right? So we can't do everything, but we can do what our brain is really good at. So we have to know what values are important to us, what skills we have, what maybe new skills we need to build to get to our maybe new ideal state. So what does Angela Duckworth say? She says, number 1, we need to be in a physiologic state of wellness. As we know, let's just talk about the neuroscience of that. We cannot be low glucose, low sleep, high sugar, high stress, and think that our brain is going to come up with some amazing idea and to give us the energy to keep going with maybe a goal or an action that we started before and we're tired. I was just at a women doc retreat, and then we talked about wonder, just slowing down to wonder what could be, just taking that time. And we all decided that we would need like a weekend off. We would need a chef to cook for us. We would need to sleep. We would need to exercise. Like we would need to do this, like have a physiologic state of wellness so we can put ourselves in the state of agency. So let's just acknowledge the reality that our brain needs a physiologic state of wellness. If you're not there, that may be one reason you're like, I can't imagine this. I can't do this. There's no way I can stick with it. Or you started something and you're not sticking with it. And maybe that's the issue is just, this physiologic state of wellness. So you can ask yourself that. I mean, if you're a woman doc, my videos are for other people too. But if you're a woman doc, we technically know what to do. It doesn't mean we always do all the right things, right? Okay. The next thing, so number one, physiologic state of wellness. This is to help us feel our agency, to put ourselves into a state of agency where maybe we could follow a dream, where we could stick with something we started, where we could put ourselves into supporting somebody who's really trying to make some big changes in our society or in the workplace or in your home. We, number one, have to have physiologic state of wellness per Angela Duckworth. Number two, visual persuasion, like pep talks, they matter. So who do you hang out with? Who's telling you what? Who's telling you can do it? You can't do it? What are you telling yourself? Those talks, like, I do know this and that and this. And so maybe because of that, I can get this project done. Let's say you're thinking about writing a grant. I'm thinking about writing a grant for my community, or at least supporting that grant writing in my community. And well, I think, well, I've written other grants. They've been small grants, not NIH grants, but they're grants. And I took a grant writing course. I've written manuscripts. I've been a part of writing manuscripts. I took a writing class. So there's things I can say, I could give myself my own pep talk, right? I've done these things. It probably means I can do this other thing. I might need to build new skills or talk to more people. That's okay. I put together my team of supporters or informers that can help me know what it will take to get it done, right? So, physiologic state of wellness. Number two is verbal persuasion or pep talks for yourself or for someone else. Just like you can do it. The whole reason I went to medical school is my roommate in college said, I think you can do it. And I never thought I could do it. It wasn't even on my radar to be a physician. I was going to be a physician's assistant, and I was in that program, and I was okay. Although I did notice I wanted to learn more about things. So just a little voice, like not a little voice, just a voice, like, I think you can do it. So then I went and talked to my advisor and talked to other people, and little pep talks. They can really change someone's trajectory, including your own. So you can do this on your own. You can do this for yourself, right? Okay, so number three is modeling. What are we seeing? Let's show what is. So if you're trying to start a business, you're a woman doc trying to start a business, that's what I coach women docs are. Show what is. Like, go talk to some women docs that already have a business. And they've had it like mine, I've had for 6 years, 6.5 almost. Talk to people who have done it. A lot of people love talking about themselves. They'll tell you what happened, what worked, what didn't work. What helped me a lot is to talk to Sasha Shilcutt because she showed me, who was on her team, who helped her start her business originally. And that's what I needed. I needed to see it. She modeled it for me. And then I was like, it's possible. And then I hung out with docs starting business, and then I hung out with women starting business, and I hung out with women in business, like CEOs and high level leaders in business. So they modeled it for me. And that's really so important. It helps you skip steps so you can see it and they can share their wins and losses. So physiologic state of well-being, easy to say, hard to do. It's going to take agency to put that into place. I have 4 other videos that I did on the different levels of capacity or agency, physiologic, cognitive, emotional, and service. Or you can say spiritual if you want to say that. I think of those two as interchangeable. Um, and so I have those on how to really do it kind of day to day and boots on the ground. What does it look like and why? And the reason I did those 4 videos is because it was an HBR article. The business literature has already figured out how important it is to have this physiologic state of well-being and to have these 4 levels of capacity. You can't forget any of them. They build on each other. So I made videos on that and I'll link them here. And so we got this. Just take some reminders, some little pep talks, right? So number 2, verbal persuasion or little pep talks. They're powerful. Small little lines of encouragement, powerful. 2, modeling. Be around people that are already doing it, show what's possible. Like for me, I built this 9-step framework because I modeled what other people did and what I needed in healthcare and I wasn't seeing. I saw a lot of that we stopped improving along the way. And then there was just a little voice like, I still want to grow and build things. I wanted to be a builder. And I didn't see how it was very possible. So I built a business and I have women come in and be builders in my community. And please feel free to join my community called Fresh Path MD. It's for women docs. So there's a possible framework where you don't have to figure this stuff out, okay? Let's just acknowledge that right now. A lot of people have figured this out. You don't have to figure it out. There's frameworks, there's roadmaps. I have one. I'm glad to share it. Come in Fresh Path MD. We'll go over it there. And then just that idea, that pep talk of watch me try. I'm going to try. Like we don't know how it's going to go. It might not work, but I'm going to try. I'm going to put the effort in. And we can learn through that modeling. Those people we hang out with, those people we ask for a 10-minute coffee. How did you do it? Tell me about your path. Then you don't feel alone and you don't need to feel alone. I think the culture of medicine has this unwritten message in there, and that's culture. Culture isn't always very clear. Culture's like an iceberg. Sometimes we see the top, but there's a lot to the base of it, and there's understandings in the culture of healthcare that we have to do this ourselves and we have to fit into medicine as opposed to medicine fitting into our full lives, our full interesting lives. Okay, so just be careful that we, are just taking for granted those cultural messages. They are the norms in your environment. That's how I understand the culture. And some of it's not said aloud, but you see the actions. So the big words there, like let's finish, let's show up, let's put the effort toward mastery. So the fourth one is mastery experiences. And those are like your stretch goals, your small wins. Things to give your neuroscience those pathways to keep winning a little bit at a time. That's that long-term potentiation. If you remember your neuroscience and what is learning truly, it's just making the pathways have a few more neurotransmitters or a few more, synaptic vesicles so that the nerves can talk to each other a little bit easier each time. Think of a baby learning how to walk or when you learned how to ride a bike. It's a process. Nothing is right away. Nothing is in one step, right? So we have to have those small wins, show up, keep going. But remember, you don't have to do this yourself. So these are the four drivers of agency, according to Angela Duckworth. Highly recommend her TED Talk. Look it up, Angela Duckworth, just exactly how it sounds, Duckworth. She's an expert on a topic called grit, is sticking with your goals. And how do you feel like you have agency to even set goals or to think you can be a builder or you can be a doer or a do-gooder? These days in our society, we need people believing in themselves, in their skills, in their strengths, in their communities, to stand up for what you believe in. So we need to make sure we feel our agencies and the way we build our agency, again, our physiologic state of well-being. So when you are stressed, tired, not eating well, cut yourself off from family and friends, those are not building your physiologic state of well-being. So that is not building your agency to see ways of change or supporting yourself in change. So number one, physiologic state of change. Two is verbal persuasions of those little, those great little pep talks for yourself, for your friends, for your colleagues, for your family members. Little pep talks, they matter. We need to hear them. They give us a little bit of energy to take that next step. And then modeling, who's doing what you want to do? Who's close to what you want to do? Who can help you build skills and get to that next level? So modeling is really important and working through a framework. That's what we do in Fresh Path MD. Use the term watch me try. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try. Watch me try. That could be your new phrase this month. And you don't have to do it alone. It's not going to work alone, actually. So don't believe that cultural message that you have to figure this out alone. And then try those mastery experiences. Those are those small little wins where you're building those neurotransmitters, you're increasing the how many there are going from nerve to nerve, that long-term potentiations where the brain starts to remember how to do something. It needs to see some wins, right? So the resources are Angela Duckworth's TED Talk, and then also Atul Gawande's. He talked a lot. He's a surgeon and a writer. He talked a lot about the concept of how do professionals keep getting better, because there's a time, he's a surgeon, he figured he experienced that he had a point where he had stopped improving. He was the master of what he knew, and he was there at that level. And he wanted to know, how can he keep improving? So he got a coach. And he talked about the importance of coaching that he's never done. He always needs a coach, is what he says. He says it's okay to pay someone because they're going to observe and critique you. Well, so we have to watch the ego. There's a lot of times an ego response to critiques. And then you can make it your own. You can keep building and improving, right? And you can keep saying, watch me try. I'm going to try new things. And so I'm glad to connect you with my 4 levels of capacity videos that have even more tips and tricks. And if you like this, hit like and subscribe. I'd love to share resources for anyone in the professional space, but especially for women docs, because there are times we have a degree and we think that's that. And we don't acknowledge that we can keep improving, that coaches help us improve. I mean, just think of professional sports. How many don't have coaches? They all have coaches, right? And they have been doing this for years and they are, worldwide experts in their sport, but they always have a coach, right? And I think that we can all learn something from that professionally, to get a coach, to keep improving, to get, some feedback that's hard to hear. It's hard to digest, right? So I'm glad to share the 4 videos on capacity I've made. Please, if you're a woman doc, feel free to join me in our community called Fresh Path MD, where we talk about growth and feeling vital as women docs, even building businesses. There's 3 levels. The first level's free, so jump in and check it out. The other 2 levels, you get resources throughout the month. So come on, join. And then Atul Gawande reminded us of coaches. Coaches can get us to new levels of awareness, can get us more accurate in our feedback because we have bias against ourselves. We have bias against others. We have to be careful of our neurologic biases. And coaches can help to break actions down to build them back up. Okay. And it's painful. He said his coaching was painful in an ego sense, to get that feedback, to not think you're perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody, so we all can keep improving and growing. And you can use that phrase, watch me try, right? And you can realize growth through this method. So hit like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. And then feel free to check the link for Fresh Path MD. Love to have you in my membership. Thanks, guys. See you later. Have a great one.